fully recovered. I've been chomping at the bit to talk about a bunch of this stuff, though. I mean, there's some great stuff coming from the game, coming from the other games. But yeah, look, I'm 100% recovered. Here's the deal: and this was my immediate thought the minute that I knew the Texans were going to win the game, before the last second even ticked off the clock. I thought to myself, "Damn, this is a much better feeling than when we walked off that field against Baltimore last year. Against Baltimore, I personally felt like." Yeah, CJ had a great year. Yeah, Will had a great year. Yeah, Demeco had a great first year. But all that season built up and led up to, I thought, cool, man, there went all the air out of my sails. There went all the air out of my balloon. We are still just as far as we were last time we played the Baltimore Ravens. This time it was competitive. You can put your finger on a couple of things that swung the game. And that, to me, that's a statement about where this team is, and ultimately that they've taken strides from last season to this season. So, I'm in a good spot. Of course, I would have loved to win. I'd love to be talking about going to the AFC Championship game, the first time in Texans history. I'd love to be talking about that. So the loss hurts, but yeah, I'm fully recovered, man. I'm ready to rock and roll.
More competitive than last year's loss to the Ravens. And yeah, some things you did in your control that you feel like could have changed maybe the outcome of this. Greenhead VR, first time I felt like we didn't get beat by the Chiefs, felt robbed. I'm certain we'll get into that. Still pissed, still hurt, still upset, still angry from the text line coming through. Where are you? Where you at, Tyler? Because you know you're the one I worry about. I haven't seen Tyler smile yet since I've been in here. Today.
That's been mainly a furrowed brow, just trying to catch up on stuff here at the station. But I'm pissed off.
There you go. Yeah, I know. You should. And they're here. Hey, and I'm telling you right now, in these 3 hours or the next several days, let it out. The drive is a spot and a space for you to let it out. Let that thing out, and we will allow you to let it out. At the bottom of the hour, the final segment of this hour, we'll open up the phone lines and hear from you. I feel like this is a day we should hear from the people, hear from you, and get your perspective on things. So we'll do that here coming up in a bit, but you can continue to text in your thoughts or use YouTube and Twitch to give us your thoughts on this thing. But let's start here because, Clint, you finally felt like you got what you wanted to hear from the head coach after the game, and some of the things he had to say fresh after the game. Not really today, but right after the game, you felt like you felt good about what you got to hear from.
Without a doubt, this is what for all the people out there that get all up in arms when I say I want to hear certain things from the head coach. I want to hear certain things from the quarterback, the leaders of this team. I want to hear certain things throughout the year, throughout the season. After the first month of the season, if you're not performing, Demeco Ryans. Now it's a little too late because the season's over, but this is the Demeco Ryans that I wanted to hear after the first time they had an outing that was subpar in Demeco Ryans' eyes. Right? This is the Demeco Ryans. To be honest with you, this is the Demeco Ryans that gives me hope moving forward. That this isn't just we're gonna win this old lousy division. You're gonna be the 4 seed, and you're gonna have to go on the road to keep Baltimore or Buffalo every damn year until they make a change at quarterback. You're probably going to play in cold-ass weather. You're probably going to deal with the elements that you're not used to, and it's going to be a super steep climb if that's the way you got to get to an AFC championship. This is the Demeco Ryans, for me personally, that I wanted to hear a month ago, and that hopefully this season was the growth and development and maturation of the Texans head coach. And this is where he's going to end up landing, whether it's a regular season game or a postseason game. Here's Demeco Ryans, and this is a little mashup of some of the comments that he that he made after the game immediately following the loss to Kansas City.
Good enough to beat a really good football team, right? So when we can do the things we need to do consistently and all the time, that's when we'll be able to, come here and be in this spot and win a football game. But unfortunately, we still got things to clean up of our own. This one hurts, right? Because I know we're a better football team than we showed today, no matter who we're playing against. To go back and still have to talk about mistakes that we made in this moment, like, yeah, it's discouraging to be here because we got to be over that at this point in the playoffs, right? Postseason football, you got to be at your best. You got to be operating on all cylinders. And for us, like, we didn't do that today. So that's what I'm just discouraged about for sure. With the sacks, from what I saw, is first off, like, you're one-on-one. In the playoff, you got to win your one-on-one battles. That's what the game always come down to. Like, you have to man up and own your one-on-one. You have to have some pride in who you're blocking to get it done and give the quarterback a chance to throw the football.
Couldn't end it any stronger right there. Man up, have some pride.
You listening, Dalton Schultz?
I mean, that's
let it out.
I do think Dalton Schultz probably is the one that pushed him to say that, but I think it's a strong message to everybody on the offensive side of the football, not just Dalton. But yeah, look, that's the Demeco Ryans that I've been wanting all year long. And again, that's the Demeco Ryans that I hope we hear moving forward in training camp or after week one, after whatever the first game is where you don't play well. You want to talk about not losing, because I know Will Anderson talked about it. We got to figure out a way to not lose to the damn Jets. You got to figure out a way to not lose to the Titans. You can't lose. You got to beat Detroit when you get 5 turnovers, right? Like, you talk about, you want to know how you do those things? Your head coach start holding guys accountable just like this right here. That standard they talk about is upheld every game, and if you don't meet that standard, then you're probably gonna catch a little bit of this in the post-game presser. So yeah, look, I absolutely agreed with everything Demeco said, and I love the tone. I love the statement. Again, I wish it would have happened 3 months ago, but I love what the head coach did there.
Yeah, I liked that part of the presser. We'll get to other stuff later on, but yeah, he spoke in that manner. He spoke the truth, and you can hear the frustration.
Yep.
Like, you're not going to beat good football teams and do the things that you're going to do. Like, all those things he listed is why is the most top reasons why they lost this game and why they had issues in this game.
He was asked about the issues with Travis Kelce as well. He said mental areas. I wish I had more for you, but there's just
a lot of them.
Just point blank. I'm not worried about hurting the players' feelings. Damn it, you watch the film. You know it was Azeez Al-Shaair twice and Miles Bryant maybe once or twice. So, like, yeah, there's
and him not adjusting at some point.
Oh no, we get into scheme. Yeah, there's absolutely. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. But just the thought of mental errors and just the straightforward. I'm not worried about hurting anybody's feelings. This is the reality of the situation. Let's keep it moving. I loved Demeco Ryans' comments.
All right, 713-572-4610. Were you into Demeco's comments as Clint was as well? And let's not wait. Let's get into what is been the talking point, and quite frankly, which has been half my life for the last couple of days. The two things we don't have to wait anymore. The two calls. That's what it seems like a lot of this game has kind of been narrowed down to, or at least on the minds of a lot of guys. I think the Texans players and coaches have also made this, I think, a bigger deal as well, as a lot of conversation about the 2 personal foul hits on Patrick Mahomes. And you can text in, give your thoughts, YouTube and Twitch. I'll let Tyler and Clint as well give theirs. What was your feeling on those 2 calls that are hugely talked about right now?
Well, look, I thought they were horrendous. Both of them horrendous roughing calls. And I think they absolutely crippled the Texans in a time when they had the momentum and were playing better football at that point in time. And the reality of it is that it just can't happen. I think the second one was more egregious, if you will, than the first one. But both of them, I think they changed the course of the game, and I think both of them were bad, really, really bad calls.
Tyler, your thoughts on the 2 calls that seem to be like the biggest things to come out of this game?
In the moment, pissed off. In this moment right now, flash forward several hours on a Reaction Monday, still pissed off. And think there was a plethora of others outside of those 2 that the black and white guys, the zebras out on the field, we're looking out for the Chiefs and Mahomes with, if you ask me.
Yeah, listen, I will get my thoughts here in just a second. As we see, did y'all see the blatant offsides on the field goal that was not called? Not to mention all the holds on the Chiefs O-line. This is man, I never thought I'd see the day Troy Aikman and Joe Buck would be bashing the refs and sticking up for the Texans, as some people tweeted in. I think they were two bad calls. I agree. I have thrown a flag. I think they shouldn't have been thrown. Even if there was contact with the head, I don't think it was forcible, as the comments that is talked about. And I think they were bad calls. Now, where I lose and where I guess I differ on some and kind of the words you use, crippling. I don't think it was crippling. I don't think 7-20 in the first quarter in a 3-3 game is crippling. That resulted in 6-3. And I don't even think the last one is crippling. I think obviously to me it especially becomes less crippling when you score 12 points in the game. But I do think those calls were bad calls, and I think they were. And to me, I guess I say the things where it loses me is when in any way you believe those bad calls changed the outcome of the game and that the Texans would have won the game, or that the league is deliberately coming out and officials are deliberately doing this for the Chiefs to win. That's where you lose me. I agree. There were bad calls, and I know many of you don't believe it or didn't watch it that way. There were bad calls that were missed and made on the other side as well. I think there were just some bad calls in the game. And I'm not going to say those weren't big calls, but I think they were definitely calls that the Texans could have come back from and didn't. So I think, I agree they were bad calls the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the conversation is more about just the calls. I mean, it's not about. I mean,
I think
what
you're in a
was it
different
called
space.
Or what? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a blame on the refs guy ever. Not like that's not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Texans would have won this game without it. I can tell you this: when you're in the divisional round and you're a 9.5-point dog, and you're on the road versus arguably the best dynasty we've ever seen. And Pat Mahomes, arguably the best quarterback, and Andy Reid, the regardless of where it's at in a game, when you take a play on a 3rd and 8 that's an incomplete pass and you turn it into a first down versus a punt, again, when you've got the momentum, I think your margin for error in what does swing the game, you are fighting such a steep uphill battle when you're playing that level of a team and that level of opponent in that environment, that taking what would have been a 4th and long and for sure a punt, and you got the football, and again, you played offensively, you played significantly better at that point in time and had a little bit of momentum than the Chiefs. I mean, that swings the game, especially when the Chiefs go on, have a big play, and end up kicking a field goal. That is a major part of the game when you're looking again at a team that Vegas says has no business even being on the field with the Chiefs. So no, I mean, look, it just, to me, it's unfortunate that you got to deal with something like this because they're terrible calls, and on top of that, you've got a quarterback that's playing into the refs' attempts and the league's attempts to protect him.
Yeah,
I think he's flopping.
I think there are a lot of quarterbacks doing it.
We were only playing one. He flopped. I think he flopped when Will Anderson hit him. He showed later on in the game to slow down and then initiate contact and flop again. The dancing around and baiting defenders into you instead of just easily going out of bounds, as Troy Aikman mentioned. You know, I think that is taking advantage of the rules, and they benefited from it in a big way 2 different times. And so I just think it's unfortunate that, 1, the Texans had to deal with that, and 2, that Pat Mahomes is handling it the way that he's handling it. This, Ron, this is why I hated the way that the Texans general manager and head coach handled the Azeez Al-Shaair stuff, right? Because right now is the time for you to be in that I'll take the fine to hell with it mode. We're going to let the league know, because this is the time that you've got a real case. This is the time that you can literally initiate change in the offseason, is if you're the loudest voice in football after that weekend talking about what happened to your team. Not the Azeez Al-Shaair crap that was clearly dirty, right? That's why I hate that they were doing it then, because right now is the time that we should hear Nick Caserio and Demeco Ryans talking about what they had to deal with in this playoff game.
Yeah, I said it when they brought up that had nothing to do with the Trevor Lawrence hit. That I'm with it. Fine them, get them, call them penalties. But like I see someone here texting in, lost all respect for Mahomes, man. That's fine. I mean, there are flops all over the field. All over it's becoming a part of the game. Josh Allen does it. Jared Goff does it. A lot of quarterbacks do it. Hell, defensive linemen do it. We see it all the time when there's little pushing matchups. Somebody takes a dive and falls on the ground to try to draw a penalty. It's all BS and penalize it. Not a penalty right now, but penalize it. But for me, man, I just go play football. Play football. 6'3", 720 in the first quarter. If that has crippled you, then I mean I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean that's just me. Well,
I guess my deal is I don't know how anybody watched that game. And again, you're taking into consideration it's the Chiefs versus the Texans, and you watch that, and that's not doesn't affect the game. You're playing up a steep hill, and you got a possession taken away from you.
No, I'm not saying it didn't affect the game. Right. What I'm saying is,
it makes an already difficult situation significantly more difficult.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a bad call that happens in football a lot. Like I said, there were bad calls. There was a Travis Kelce 20-yard gain that got ripped off because of a bad phantom holding call on the Chiefs that backed him up. But you keep playing football. You keep playing football.